This is a brief example of using the Telco churn analytics demo to start off the analytics sessions. This is based on the script for 10089, though it's been shortened to make things a little easier for these presentations. To begin, we open up our regional sales dashboard. This will give us an overall view of how our business is doing, showing us our revenue, our market share, our churn rate, and our new subscribers. We can see there's a problem with churn rate, so let's drill into that area. By selecting churn rate, it will show us our 3 lowest performing areas, and also show us how our plans and churn rates are doing against their target. We can drill into a specific geography and see the details over time for that area. So in this case, we can see Chicago and see over time for both our prepaid and our postpaid service plans, and see that there's a fairly large increase in the churn rate in our postpaid service plans. Now we could try and do some more analysis here, but why don't we let SAP and the power of predictive help us find out both what is happening and how we might be able to improve those churn rates. So we switch over to the SAP predictive tools, open up the modeler, and we create a classification regression model. The first thing we're going to do is load in our data. Then we're going to let the system analyze the data to determine the data types. Once we have those loaded, we'll use a previous model to load in the structure to save us a little time during the demo here. We verify those are the structures we want, and we move on. Now we need to decide what variables we want to decide on. In this case, we really care about our churn activity, so we move that as our target variable, clear on anything else, and move to next. Finally, we want to see a decision tree, so we'll select that box. And that's all we need to do. Now the system will go through our data and train the model up. Once it's completed, it'll give us some statistics on that model so we can see both the quality and the accuracy of that model. We can also generate a report which will show us both the targeting accuracy of the model, the impact of this model, and also some of the values that affect the churn rate. These will be useful later as we deploy the model. Now once we have this model, we can also look and see some of the values that are in there. For instance, the contribution of the different variables to the churn rate. Again, notice we didn't have to pick those, they were chosen for us. And also the decision tree, which shows us how those different items impact the churn rate. But once we have this model, we can then run the model through simulations. So as a customer calls in, we could load in their values and see their probability of churn rate. So in this case, we see that if we have a customer who has low usage, 10%, that they have a very high churn rate. Again, if we had another customer call on and they had very high usage, we notice their churn rate is also very high. But our third customer here, who has kind of a moderate usage, is very unlikely to churn. So we know that the usage compared to their actual plan has a huge impact on the churn rate. Now, of course, we could do this for each individual customer as they call in, but this is very inefficient. And with SAP and SAP Predictive Analytics, we could do all this in real time. So we take this model we've created and actually deploy it. We can generate source code for a variety of native systems, including SQL systems and high-performance systems like SAP HANA. We then generate and deploy that code to that system to be used later. Now that we've deployed the model, we can switch back to our analytic dashboard view. From here, we can select recommendation, which will allow us to activate that deployed model. By selecting optimize, it will execute that model against all the data we have in the system and any data we have currently coming into the system. Once it's done that, we can select update, and will show us in real time the top 5 promotions based on those models that would be best to deploy against these customers. As we can see, we go from a very high churn rate to a very low churn rate, as indicated by the colors in the heat map there. Now that we know what we can do and we have this real-time model, we need to communicate this information to the rest of the company. By leveraging the power of the BI suite, we can provide this information to our customers, not just as data and numbers, but as information and a story, telling them both what is the churn rate, how it's affecting our customers, and what we plan to do about it in the future. Moving us beyond just reporting that told us what happened, to analysis that's telling us why it's happened, and predictive that will tell us what we can do to impact it in the future. allowing us to leverage the power of the Business Intelligence Suite to really impact both our business and our customers. I hope you found this presentation useful. Thank you.